The whole story has already happened, so the good thing for all of you reading is that you're going to get the entire narration from start to finish. It is still a little bit fresh with me though, even though it ended a few weeks ago. It's hard to deal with such heartbreak and just move on from it, as easy as some people here might make it seem. I think being cheated on is the kind of thing that you have to experience before you realize how hard it is to be calculated and analytical. I, 38 male, have been married to Amelia, 38 female, for 12 years. In that many years of marriage, you'd think that you'd know someone, but I guess that my own experience has proven that it isn't true. The worst part is that I'm nearly 40 years old. Where am I even meant to start when it comes to romance and relationships? I probably won't even get back into serious dating. I can't risk putting my all into it like I did in this case, only to have it end in such stupid fashion. I thought that I could trust Amelia. I really did. She's always been an honest person, and even as she got older, I still thought that she looked as beautiful as she was when I met her. I don't think I aged as great as she did. I'm not being self-deprecating. Whenever she got approached by people, she would hesitate to let me know. Not because I demanded it, but because she was open, and a lot of times it would make for a funny story. For someone who never chose to hide those kinds of things, it just made me assume that she was the kind of person who was honest most of the time. She was like that even when we were dating. Initially, I found myself getting really jealous that she got all the male attention, especially because as a man, it's almost the complete opposite. But after some time, I chose to see the good sides of her openness. All of that was a big facade at the end of the day, because I found out that despite all the trust I had, she was cheating on me. I think that will really fracture what I think about trusting people. I don't think there's anyone who won't betray you if they feel like they have a good enough reason for it. The worst part about Amelia cheating is that I had absolutely no idea. The only reason I found out was because of our Ring doorbell. For work, I travel a lot. I won't call myself a workaholic, but if there are tasks to be done, I really push myself to make sure that everything gets concluded. On one of the days that I was out of town, I was at a hotel and I was up late, working. It was about 5 a.m. when I got a notification on my phone that the doorbell detected motion at the front door. Obviously, at that time of day, I was really concerned, so I opened the app right away. Looking back, I don't know if she forgot that I was connected to the app or if she really thought she'd be able to dodge the motion detection, but I think it was the latter. I saw my wife coming out of the front door. She stood closer to the camera, but I could see someone else squeezing to the side of the frame, as if they didn't want to be captured by the camera. I think she assumed that she was obscuring the view of the camera entirely. Initially, because of how our front porch is, I could only see the person's arm, but I was 90% sure that it was a male. I didn't need to keep guessing because later in the video, the person slips into frame, which I assume was an accident, and I was able to get a perfect view of their face. It was a man, and he wasn't anyone that I recognized. The fact that my wife was wearing nightwear made the situation even worse. I couldn't even try and make excuses for her to say that it was an emergency plumber or something like that. To be honest, I don't even know how the guy got into the house without the doorbell detecting him. I don't know why her affair partner didn't choose to go out the same way either. While watching, they both moved out of frame, and about 15 or 20 seconds later, I heard a car start. Then she came back into the house and I noticed that she looked right at the camera as she did. About 5 minutes later, she texted, "Hey baby," but I didn't reply. I just acted like I was asleep because I was sure that was what she was trying to confirm. The next day, she claimed that she had missed me, and that's why she texted at an odd hour. I saved the video because I could not risk getting lost. I knew that I wasn't losing my mind. There was a man stealthily leaving my house at 5 a.m., and I knew that the only reason something like that was happening was because my wife was cheating on me. No one ever came to or left our house at that kind of hour when I was around. For some reason, it was like my brain refused to just accept the situation. It wanted to make sure that cheating was the only possibility. But after some time of trying to think of different explanations, it was clear that the most obvious one was exactly what was going on. The rest of my trip was a waste for me because I couldn't even think straight. I was there for work and I had to do the bare minimum because my mind was on something entirely different. We had spoken after the doorbell incident and before I got back, and I didn't notice anything different with her. But when I got back home, that was when it was clear that she must have been wondering if I had seen the notification. To keep up her streak of honesty, she told me that she had to mention something that had happened when I had been on my trip. According to her, a friend had been out at a bar and was going to order a ride to head home, but his battery had died. So he came over to quickly charge his phone and then take off. I asked them what time that was, and she claimed that she wasn't sure, but it was in the early hours of the morning. I acknowledged what she said and let the conversation go, because I already knew that I was being lied to. The story itself wasn't ridiculous, but I knew that the way she told it, I could poke holes in it, especially if I wanted to acknowledge that I hadn't seen the video. The person she was with wasn't someone I knew, yet the person knew our house well enough to come to it on foot from a random bar? If she had a male friend who knew our house that well, then I would know that male friend too. From the look of things in the video too, she had made to block off the camera. There would be no need for that if her guest was innocent. At the same time, why didn't I get a notification when the person pulled up at the front door? None of it made sense, and I could have pointed it out to her, but I just didn't want to confront her just then. It was too soon, and I knew that if I did, I was likely going to lose the advantage that I had. So I left it at that. The only thing I asked her was which friend it was, because she had very blatantly left out a name, which isn't the kind of thing that you would do under normal circumstances. She told me that it was Sean, who was a person I knew and liked, but the person in the video certainly wasn't Sean. I just said okay, and left it though. Instead of bothering myself by digging through her phone, especially because I assumed that she was way too smart to leave evidence on her phone, I decided that I was going to just hire a PI the next time that I had a work trip, which was in 2 weeks. It was hard for me to keep living with her, especially because I had serious trust issues, but I did it. I made sure not to sleep with her in that time. I had to make up so many excuses. I wasn't going to risk catching anything though. When I traveled, I gave the PI all the necessary information. I was going to be away for 4 days, which I assumed would be enough time for her to do something with the affair partner. I was right in that regard. Over the days that I was gone, she met up with her affair partner twice. The very first day, I sent her a selfie from my hotel room, and I think that was the confirmation that I was truly out of town. With that, I assumed that she told her affair partner to meet her, and he did. From what the PI told me, I assumed that this was how he entered the house the first night that I saw him, though I can't confirm. He was in the passenger seat of her car. She had picked him up, and they came home together. Since they pulled into the garage, I had no idea that she had someone with her. Why he had gone through the front door the other time, I genuinely don't know, because this time around, the PI said that she went through the trouble of opening the garage door so that he could leave. I assumed that she was spooked by the last time, and she assumed that she had a close shave, so she didn't want to repeat the same mistake. This time around, he left around 7 a.m. instead of so early. The PI saw all of it and took pictures. She was standing in the garage wearing nightwear once again as he left, and the pictures showed that. The second time that the PI spotted them together was when he followed her out of work on the third day of my trip. She went to a fast food place, and she met up with the affair partner there. He came in his own car, they bought food, and then they sat in his car together. That was where the PI was able to get pictures of them kissing. They kissed for a long time, twice. The first time was when they got into the car together, and the second time was right before she left to go back to her own car. That was the most important piece of the evidence, because she was caught right in the act of cheating on me. However, the fast food meetup also gave me the name of her affair partner, because he pulled up in his own car, and the PI was able to run the license plate. I found out that the guy's name was Dennis, and he was also married, but with 3 kids, unlike us. So this man decided to leave his wife and children to slink around with a married woman. It was crazy to me, and it likely had something to do with why he left the house at such odd hours. He probably lied to the poor woman that he was working late. Since I had all of that, it was easy for me to go straight to a divorce lawyer the moment I got home from my trip. I presented all the evidence that I had, paid his retainer, and then I just had to wait a few days to get a message from him that the divorce papers were ready to be served. She was served right before she closed from work, and I did it like that so that she'd come straight home with her emotions at their peak. I didn't want her to have the time to mull over it. When she got home, she was red in the face and fuming. She threw the envelope with the papers at me and asked me to explain what I was doing. I told her, as if I was talking to a child, that they were divorce papers because I wanted to get divorced. She said she knew that, but there was no good reason for me to be divorcing her. She said she hadn't done anything wrong. I let her know that I knew that was a lie, and I knew that she knew that was a lie too. She maintained that she had been loving, she had communicated well, and she always made sure to attend to her wifely duties. She said she couldn't think of a single good reason for me to say that I didn't want to spend the rest of my life with her. I told her I had a very good reason, and it was the fact that she had cheated on me. She acted surprised, and I was shocked at how good she was acting. It made me wonder how many other things I had believed that had been lies. I told her that she could put the act away because I knew for a fact that she had cheated on me. I asked her whether or not she knew a guy named Dennis. She hesitated, and then she said yes. I lied that he had called me and admitted everything. She initially wanted to deny anything that I was saying, but the more I told her about him, the more she seemed to believe me. I told her that there was no way that I could have known that she was cheating. I also let her know that he had sent me pictures of the two of them. Then I mentioned the restaurant that the PI had spotted the two of them at. At that point, she started to panic, and I think that because I presented her with too much of the truth, she had absolutely nowhere to go in her defense. I saw her shoulders sag when she realized that I had caught her in the lie, and there was no real reasonable way out of it for her. She chose to act very differently at that point. She admitted to me that she had truly cheated on me, and she said that she was sorry, but she claimed that I wouldn't be able to understand why she did it. She said it only happened when I went on trips, and that was because she was lonely. I told her that my trips were hardly ever a week long. Why would she think that an absence of 5 days or less was reason enough to go out and cheat on me? I told her that she had to stop trying to make fake reasons for why she was a bad person, because she was simply a bad person. She had cheated on me with a married man, so not only had she ruined our marriage, but she had contributed to ruining theirs too. That part seemed to hurt her. I let her know that I had evidence of her affair, and even though I wasn't going to show it to her, I was glad that we had both acknowledged it. I let her know that I wasn't going to let her stay in the house. She had ruined our marriage, and because of that, she had to leave. Initially, she said that she wasn't going to because she had nowhere to go, but when I started to get mad, I think she got the hint pretty quickly. Thankfully, she left the house for good, only coming when she needed to pick up more of her things. We barely spoke on those occasions, and I'm glad that she didn't bother trying to convince me to take her back. I paid the PI one more time because this time around, I wanted to get Dennis's home address. I wanted to confront him, and I vowed to myself that I wasn't going to be violent, no matter how much I was provoked. The thing is, when I got there, his wife answered the door, not him. She was very guarded, and most of our conversation was on the doorstep of her house. I explained who I was, and I told her that I had come looking for her husband, but I didn't mind seeing her. I tried to get her to anticipate the bad news, but it still hit her hard when I let her know that her husband was cheating on her with my wife. She didn't believe me until I showed her the pictures of them kissing in his car. That was when she invited me in. I told her everything that I knew, up to me serving Amelia with divorce papers. She cried a lot, and I really felt bad for her. The good thing was that at the end of the day, she seemed to accept that I made the right choice. She had 3 kids with this guy, and he was a liar. She deserved to know that. So I let her know that she was going to do the right thing, but she said, and very politely, I will admit, that she didn't want to see me again. I don't blame her for that, and I haven't seen or spoken to her since. I never met Dennis either, and I'm glad, because I had a bad feeling that things would have ended physically. He's part of the reason why my marriage fell apart, and since I couldn't direct my true anger at Amelia, I might not have hesitated to throw it at Dennis. We got divorced, and that part went all right. It wasn't the best outcome I could have gotten, which irritates me, but what are you going to do when you're a man dealing with divorce? The judicial system is stacked against us in that regard, even when you have clear evidence of what your ex-wife was up to. I got to keep the house, which is why I'll always advocate for men to not move out when they get divorced, because that only reduces their chances of getting the house. If you have kids, your chances are almost zero, since the court will favor keeping the kids with the woman who can do no wrong, and in a place that they're used to. However, aside from the house, I'm paying alimony that is very hefty, and I think that's what is driving me insane. She can cheat on me and still get rewarded when I decided to split from her. How does that make any sense? After the divorce, I decided that I was going to do what the system couldn't do for me. I chose that I was going to hurt her. I had the footage of her leaving the house with her affair partner, and I had the pictures of her kissing him in the car. I wrote a long post tagging her and explaining the situation, with the pictures attached. I posted them on Facebook and in the groups that she was a big part of, because one thing that I didn't mention is that as Amelia got older, she started to look for ways to feel important by starting groups and joining elections for community positions. She is pretty well known in our town, and I realized how badly I could hurt her by exposing the person she was. I also posted it on other social media platforms. The post didn't blow up, but the good thing is that they're online forever, and I added her full name to each of the posts so that if anyone searches them up, they will see the kind of person that she is. I'm sure I don't have to tell you how mad she was about that. She came to the house, and the moment I opened the door, she barged in. I told her to get out, but she said she didn't have to listen to me. She told me that I had messed with the wrong person. She said I had ruined her life, even though we got divorced, and the judge determined everything. According to her, I had no right to try to get revenge on her. I laughed at that, which only riled her up more. But through her shouting, I told her that she didn't have the right to act like she had the moral high ground. She had done the slutty, dishonest thing first, not me. She said that I had ruined her life because she had people she hadn't spoken to in years calling her to ask what happened. She said she had never been more embarrassed. I smiled and let her know that that's what she deserved. I told her one more time to leave my house, and when she didn't, I started to call the police. It was only then that she got out. I do know that 2 of the groups she was part of, one of them being a church group, ended up removing her from a leadership position. Now she's just a regular member, since they don't have the power to remove her for good. That's good enough for me because I know how much it will kill her inside to be knocked from her pedestal. I'm stuck paying alimony to that woman, so I'm glad I got the last hit at her. I'm also glad that I managed to let her affair partner's wife know what was going on. Whether she divorces him or not is none of my business, but I hope she does, because that's what he deserves. So that's the story of my divorce and my cheating wife. The whole thing with her has made me scared of dealing with women in a romantic capacity again, but maybe one day I'll change my mind. For now, I'll stay on a diet. Let's give a slow clap for the real MVP of this story, the Ring doorbell. Your marriage fell apart, but at least your home security system stayed loyal. If you're going to risk your marriage, at least learn how cameras work. You're out there working at 5 a.m. and she's out there also putting in overtime, just a very different department. Then there's Dennis. It's always the guy named Dennis. They sound like they fix copiers but end up breaking homes. Sure, you're paying alimony, but you also managed to socially nuke her into being demoted from church group leader to regular sinner. And honestly, we love to see it. What's the wildest thing you've caught on your Ring camera? Share it with us below. And thank you for joining us today on Our Space. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. See you soon.